Now the details. Thank you again for taking the time to join us. The government of Rwanda has noted that the tax reforms being implemented will assist to attract more investment in the country and will also help to find solutions to economic problems as well as improve the social well-being of citizens. Olive Nete has more on that. Our apologies, that report is not yet available, but it will be soon and we'll bring it to you now. Moving on, the Ministry of Trade and Industry is urging traders to comply with established prices of commodities, which include those of corn, maize, flour and rice, because they were established after considering the harvest of these crops in the country. This was reiterated during a press conference, which was mainly emphasizing on the cabinet resolutions that were published previously. Olive Nete has more.
This week, the government announced new commodity prices for rice, maize flour, and Irish potatoes. It is a decision that was appreciated by various people, but again, some of the traders revealed some concerns. The rice is now at 800. It is a change that we appreciate, and also the same with Irish potato and the same with maize flour. This will highly assist builders' assistants and potters because of the money they earn. My husband is a trader. Recently, he purchased rice on a price of 27,000 and the kilo is at 1,100 Rwandan francs. Let's say that it's been 3 days. If he has 10 sacks of rice, he will have to sell that in a period of like 2 weeks. And now he's going to sell it at the price of 850, and that is a loss. It is good that the price has been reduced, but they should provide time to fast sell what they bought before the announcement. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Ngabitsinze Jean Chrysostom, notes that the new prices were established following discussions with various institutions, farmers and traders, and that all issues were taken into account, underlining that those concerned must adhere to the new set prices.
Normally, there is no VAT on Irish potatoes. The prices that we calculated concerns the potatoes of the day. It is not of the potatoes that they stored, and there are no potatoes that can be stored for 3 to 4 months. We have our teams, and such problems should be solved. That is why I urge people to put more efforts. Instead of focusing our efforts on those who are doing bad, we should also appreciate those who did well by following the set rules, and there are many. But now, measures are a bit different because the current times we are in as authorities and all efforts, measures made by the President to resolve issues regarding taxes, I truly believe that we cannot say that this is possible. And everyone who thinks that this is impossible would be trying to challenge very tough situations, even if it is real tough situations. There are people who listen fast and others who delay, and even those who do not implement. But what is necessary is that all Rwandans, be it traders and customers, understands what is being done, and those who do not comply are few cases, and I think we can work together on that.
The analysis stands for the new prices to be established as set by considering all sides, so that no one would get losses, as the Minister of Trade and Industry explains.
tukora isesengura kuva ku mbuto mu guhinga n'indi bitandukanye tukageraho umuhinzi tuvuga ngo amafaranga yashyizemo n'inyungu yavanamo naya.
We carry out the analysis starting from the seed, cultivating and more, and get to the point of analyzing the amount of capital that the farmer invested and the profit they envisage. But on Irish potatoes, there's a particularity. We evaluate that based on the type of potatoes, and the same with beans because they also include various types. And the prices that we established at the farmer's level include all of what they invested and the profit they envisage. And also the wholesaler comes to buy, we did not mention. We also calculate for him and also include the cost of transport, and you cannot do that to every area. We do the average, and we also have the prices, and we work with the people.
Noneho twagera ku isoko tugashyiraho magana 30 twafasha amasoko yose ashoboka icyo aho yakigurisha kwa muranguriye n'icyo yakongeraho akagira n'inyungu avanamo.
On the issue of traders that say that the announcement was done after they purchased the goods at a higher price and stored them, the Commissioner General in the Rwanda Revenue Authority, Ruganinwari Pascal, notes that they already have a way to analyze the situation and that nobody should use that as a hindrance to not follow the new established prices.
Some people want to benefit from this situation because those who paid VAT can be refunded. if we have its output, and because we have this clear announcement, we immediately did an announcement to tell all of those who are in that category, who may be having a store that they have not yet sold, that they should give us the reports not later than the 30th. This is to tell you, we have that information, and whoever would not comply with that should not complain, and we compare with what we have in the system so that we may know who is allowed to increase the refunds.
The Ministry of Trade and Industry also emphasizes that prices of beans that have not been yet established and yet they are more needed at the market, it was because its harvest in the previous agricultural season was very low due to climate change, and also emphasized that during this agricultural season, prices of beans will also be revised.
Now back to that story that should have been the first one. The government of Rwanda notes that the tax reforms being implemented will assist to attract more investment and will also help the country to find solutions to economic problems while improving the social well-being of citizens. Olive Nete with the details.
At first, the government of Rwanda made a decision to exempt the value-added tax to crops like rice, maize flour, including the ones produced in the country, and also those that are imported. Not forgetting also the price of Irish potatoes, which was also established. According to the approved tax reforms, the new rate applied on land tax has been set between 0 and 80 Rwandan francs per square meter from 0 to 300 rate. During a press conference, Richard Tusabe, the Minister of State in charge of National Treasury, noted that these reforms were carried out to answer the request of the residents and also following directives issued by the President of the Republic in January 2023.
We want to be a country that has economic stability, and that economy is based on residents and their financial capacity. And when you closely evaluate the challenges that we are currently facing, there are problems of famine we encountered. The productivity was not as expected comparing the previous year, and this one, it won't be as what we expect. And all of that adds to other challenges faced, such as COVID-19, the war in Ukraine. All of that raised prices in general, and when you evaluate that, you see that the inflation rate and the productivity which is not being provided as we want. What can we do to reduce the cost of what people eat? That is why we exempted the VAT of 18% to these essential crops.
A second residential house will be taxed at 0.5% of the combined market value of the house and land, which was at 1%. The tax rate for commercial buildings is reduced from 0.5% to 0.3% of its market value on both building and land. Tax on sale of immovable property, this levy will be applied at 2% of the property value for registered taxpayers and 2.5% on non-registered taxpayers. The first 5 million of the sale of every immovable property will be tax exempt. The government also reduced the corporate income tax statutory rate from 30% to 28%. The Rwanda Revenue Authority notes that even though these reforms may reduce the amount of tax collected by the government, this won't hinder anything, as the General Commissioner of the Rwanda Revenue Authority, Bizimana Ruganintwari Pascal, explains.
When the tax rates deduct, it means that the total tax collected might as well deduct. But on the other hand, what is essential is increasing the citizens' capacity. For instance, if in the price of a kilogram of rice included VAT, and now it was removed, then the citizen might be able to buy 2 kilograms. This means that the citizen benefits, as it is the government's plan. When the citizen's capacity is increased and the citizen is able to buy more, then we get the tax from the buyer.
These reforms are being carried out following directives issued by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Kagame, in January 2023, where he emphasized that taxes should be there to improve the lives of Rwandans and also requested they should be revised.
This new year, 2023, comes after years of challenges. We had economic difficulties. This should be a year of developing lives of Rwandans and also develop our economy as it was before. I continue to hear challenges in tax payment. Increasing the tax burden does not result in collecting many taxes. There are institutions in charge, and people can revise the issue and then provide us with suggestions on how we may find solutions without losses. I am not here to exempt taxes. No, that is not what I mean. Instead, tax collections should be enhanced, and it can be increased without burdening people. I am leaving the matter in the hands of those in charge, and they should solve it as soon as possible. These should be shaped so that we can make resolutions about it.
Ibyo ndabirekera abakwiye kubyiga nabyo babishyireho umwete vuba nabyo bigaragaza aho tujya tubifatira ibyemezo.
The tax reforms that are being carried out are expected to reduce tax rates, broaden the tax base, improve tax compliance, and curb tax evasion, while ensuring the tax revenues increase by 1% of the GDP by the fiscal year 2025-2026. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Muslims across the country have been marking Eid al-Fitr, the fast-breaking day that marks the end of the month of Ramadan. Olive Nete once more.
During morning hours, Muslims in various places were ready to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr day, heading to where they must carry out their prayers as an act of praising God for being with them throughout the holy month of Ramadan.
Igisibo biba ari nk'igihe cyo kugerageza kugira imico myiza, kwegera Imana.
This period of fasting is like a time of trying to do good, to be close to God, and to avoid anything that could hinder your faith. And what you manage to do during that whole month, which is like a trial, assists you during the whole year to the next year if God wills.
Igihe cyose cy'umwaka kugeza umwaka utaha Imana idushoboze kugera mu kindi gisibo.
Igisibo dusoje neza ku mpamvu z'umutekano.
This holy month ended well due to security reasons. We carried out various activities as the youth, and we visited the sick and also helped the needy.
No gufasha abatishoboye.
The Muslim community in Rwanda are content of the freedom they have in the country and also emphasize that the rights that they have now is different from how it was before the genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi.
Rwanda mbere ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi ntabwo twari dufite uburenganzira nk'ubu ngubu.
Before the genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi, we didn't have the same rights as we have now. Such good moments wouldn't happen. We used to feel lonely. We were not even allowed to pray. It wasn't even a recognized day nationally, and when we remember all of that, we thank God because we now have a good life, which is different from what we had before. We have the right to celebrate what we believe in. And among the things that we appreciate that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Kagame, did, is giving us the right to celebrate these 2 days, this day of Ramadan and the day of the sacrifice.
Following their prayers, they continued the celebration by sharing meals with fellow Muslims as well as non-Muslims. The Mufti of Rwanda, Sheikh Salim Hitimana, reminded Muslims that the good works they do during the holy month should also be works of their daily activities, emphasizing that praying and doing good works will accompany them after this life.
The message I want to give to all Muslims is that God does not exist only on Ramadan. God is internal, and that is why Muslims are not also called to do good works during Ramadan only. They ought to do them throughout their life because their deeds will be presented in front of God, and they will be among the factors that will determine if they go to heaven or hell. That is why they shouldn't stop doing good just because the month of Ramadan has ended. They should keep on doing good as much as they can until God decides to take back their life.
Some of the activities that Muslims did during this holy month include prayers, charity activities among themselves, and also to other people who are not from their community, including the survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi. They also learned and taught the Quran and many more. Olive Nete, RTV News.
The RDF Chief of Defense Staff, General Jean Bosco Kazura, has stressed that strengthening security requires that all countries work together. He mentioned this at the end of a four-day workshop on protecting civilians during times of war. Jessica Gassaro with more.
This workshop was organized by the International Committee of the Red Cross in partnership with the Rwanda Defense Force, assuring measures that can be taken in designing and implementing partnered military operations to enhance protection of civilians and respect for the international humanitarian law. When there is a war between countries, civilians are often affected because of the combatants have the means to defend themselves, and that is why they want the Geneva Convention to be respected to protect civilians. The head of ICRC Regional Delegation to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Christopher Sata, thanked the Rwandan Defense Force for their cooperation and continued to insist on continuing to protect the lives of the people.
But it has increased in the recent years. And it has led the ICRC to launch a global initiative termed the Support Relationships in Armed Conflicts Initiative, which seeks to increase the military decision makers' understanding of the role they can play in mitigating risks for civilian populations, for the wounded, for detainees when designing and implementing their support. Partnering armed forces deployed in military operations abroad have emerged as very relevant actors for seeking to provide stability and security in the areas where they intervene.
Among the participants of this training were military officers from the rank of Colonel to the Brigadier General from Rwanda and all around the world.
The workshop was to look at partner military operations, discuss partner military operation in depth. But as I said before, our focus is not how well partners conduct their military operations, but what we are interested in is how effectively they protect the civilians, because the civilians are the one at the receiving end of these military operations. So during those few days, we tap into the collective experience.
The RDF Chief of Defense Staff General Jean Bosco Kazura notes that the cooperation is important in strengthening security.
One of the realities that we have, you have come to acknowledge during your discussions is that no individual country would be able to be self-sufficient in achieving on its own the aforementioned operation and even strategic objectives. It is against that background that all individual nations present here have chosen to team up with others for delivering the critical and needed results.
This workshop was attended by military officers from about 20 African countries and other countries around the world, as well as civilian experts and ICRC staff. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Jessica, for that report. Now, Ngoma residents who invested in chia seeds cultivation and worked with Novaliva Limited and were not paid on time say they appreciate the efforts of the government to get them paid because now it's going to happen. Prince Manzi with more.
For the past 4 years, chia seeds were quite known by many in Ngoma district and generating great income to cultivators in this region. Nevertheless, last year, chia seeds had no market, hence loss to these cultivators. The government and local administrators got involved in this case and helped in requesting for refunding, a move appreciated by these farmers.
In consideration with how things were, we were hopeless, but now when we look at the government's move, it demonstrates a step made in finding our own solutions to our problems. The company demonstrated its loss and citizens demonstrated theirs, and we reached a fair conclusion.
I appreciated the conclusion made, and even if the sum will be low, but we continue our development plan and we invest in other domains. In the discussions held in Ngoma district that convened in the Ministry of Local Government, the National Agricultural Export Development Board, Ngoma district local administrators and investors in chia seeds who worked with Novalva Limited Company, the Vice Mayor of Ngoma district in charge of economic development, Nyilidandi Mapambano, elaborates more on the conclusions of these discussions. We are looking after this loss, what is next, without both the company and citizens falling into loss. We heard the statistics of the loss, and both parties agreed to go Dutch on this loss. And technicians of different institutions convened today are finalizing this, and we are ending this issue. The production not paid was worth 600 million for 702 people. Some were paid and 308 remained. The government of Rwanda set 2,300 per kilogram of chia as cost. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Partners in the Caritas Rwanda Gimbuka project appreciate the achievements of the past 10 years in fighting malnutrition and supporting citizens on their developmental journey. In the next 5 years, the project will now focus on supporting children affected by HIV/AIDS. Prince Manzi once more.
Placidia Mukaminani is a cultivator of soy in Ruhango district. She states that she used to take her production to the market, which was not efficient. But after trainings from Caritas Rwanda, she now produces tofu and powdered milk from soy, which are used to fight against malnutrition.
We get tofu from soy, and tofu is roasted and used to make samosa, and we sell per kilogram. We also get powdered milk from it for fighting malnutrition, and we give whoever needs some of the milk.
In the next phase of the Gimbuka project, that will last 5 years, it will focus on children orphaned by HIV/AIDS and the affected in general. Bishop Anaclet Mumbaneza of Caritas Rwanda states that the aim of Caritas Rwanda is supporting citizens with various challenges in terms of development. And this is exactly the aim of Caritas, which is to support the vulnerable, but especially those who are vulnerable because of various causes like diseases and accidents. Samuel Dusengiyumva, the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, reiterates that the country needs more partners that help in the development of citizens. This is an example of the possible. As we still find unemployment in the youth, if we would get other partners, we can increase the citizens' skills and support them in their development. In activities accomplished in this project include 96,000 children supported out of malnutrition across the country, with 47,000 parents trained on preparing a balanced diet. The next phase of this project will cost $11 million. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
So thank you for taking the time to join us for the news. Stay with Rwanda Television, and I do hope you have a great weekend ahead of you. Goodbye.